The chicken and egg problem is a logical paradox involving concepts with fuzzy scope. The paradox is, which came first, the chicken or the egg? On the one hand, an egg is needed for a chicken to appear. On the other hand, a chicken is needed for an egg to appear. It is necessary to establish a cause and effect relationship. Views on the problem can be found in the works of classical philosophers of ancient Greece. Their works show that it was widely discussed. Initially, the question was about the bird in general. For example, Aristotle believed that none of them were primary, but appeared simultaneously. He reasoned that if there was a first man, he would have to be born without a father or mother. And this, according to the philosopher, is contrary to nature. Thus, an egg could not be the first to give rise to birds, since it itself must have been laid by an egg, and a bird cannot be the first, since it itself appeared from an egg. The problem was also analyzed by Plutarch in the volume Moralium, and he considered a chicken instead of just a bird, and then Macrobius. The egg as a method of reproduction appeared much earlier than chickens. According to modern views, birds are evolutionary descendants of dinosaurs, which already reproduced with eggs long before the beginning of the process of evolutionary transformation of some dinosaurs into birds. At the conventional historical moment of the emergence of the class of birds, an egg was laid, from which a bird later hatched. At the same time, a broader interpretation allows us to understand egg as biological objects similar to it in structure and function: caviar of fish, amphibians, eggs of reptiles, including those with a hard shell. But a broad interpretation suggests that living creatures should have appeared earlier, the evolution of which led to the use of eggs in the process of reproduction. If we clarify chicken or chicken egg, the problem has no solution. Evolution, the gradual change in appearance from generation to generation, is so slow that it is impossible to find a clear line between a grand hen and a chicken, as well as between a grand hen's egg and a chicken's egg. If in this clarification we come up with an artificial binary criterion of whether it is a chicken or not, for example, the presence of a certain protein, then, of course, the first bird that fits the chicken criterion hatched from an egg, or rather, from an egg cell that was not laid by a chicken. According to scientists, the most famous ancient eggs were laid by dinosaurs. For example, a study of eggs that are 200 million years old showed that they had very thin shells and at the same time were very strong. Although other studies say that the reason why a large number of dinosaur eggs have not been discovered is that their shells were still exposed to the influence of chemical components of the soil, and therefore were not so strong. In any case, dinosaur eggs are very similar in structure to modern bird eggs, and therefore are the earliest example of modern eggs. So, scientists have already determined that eggs appeared before chickens. But if we talk specifically about the first chicken egg, then the matter immediately takes a different turn. Last year, scientists found out that ordinary domestic chickens most likely descended from jungle fowl, birds that lived in the jungles of Southeast Asia. These domestic chickens separated from their ancestors about 50 million years ago. Of course, they were not originally domesticated, because people did not domesticate them until sometime between 1650 BC and 1250 BC. At a certain point in time when chickens were being domesticated, the last ancestor of modern chickens laid an egg that contained an embryo with enough genetic differences to distinguish it from its parent species. That is, this embryo did not develop in the egg of an ordinary chicken, but only when it turned into an adult bird. New offspring and real eggs of domestic chickens appeared. Thus, we can say that initially there was a chicken, and only then an egg appeared. According to scientists, it is worth considering the fact that domestic chickens often crossed with jungle fowls in the process of evolution. Also, the process of domestication of chickens did not happen all at once, and therefore it is difficult to say which bird was the very first real modern chicken.